Hey friends, welcome back to another video, and today we're taking a look at the Origami-dan Battle. Now, we looked at round 1 last time, which was absolutely crazy, and round 2 is no exception. We have some absolutely insane folds. People are going really hard for that cash prize. So let's take a look at these submissions and just see how insane they are. And if you guys don't know what's going on, basically it is a designer 1v1. So designers choose a topic, they agree on it to fold, and then they design within, I think, around 2 to 3 weeks to try to beat the other person. So to make and then the community votes on the winner. The first competition we have going, the theme was Yokai, which is like a Japanese monster, I believe. So yeah, we have Aris on the left and Doryuzu on the right. So let's take a look at Doryuzu's first. So he's got wrestling kappas. And this is for the topic of yokai. Okay, so it looks like we have a disclaimer here. He says, apologies for the bad photos. This is the best I can do at the moment. So it seems like Doryuzu was a little bit limited on time, so couldn't get too good of photos. Will that affect the voting? Potentially. Presentation is it's part of votes. So it looks like we have a cutting mat, which is generally used to treat paper on. And then just like a piece of paper behind as a background. It's kind of diffusing a light. It potentially, again, it's not the greatest photo. Like we've got this stuff here. I wish this was at least cropped out, like right there and right there. So Doryuzu is really good at folding. In this case, we can clearly see 2 forms. So we got 1 and 2. The heads and then the bodies are here. I think this is really good. I think the wrestling pose is also really good. I think just one thing that's working against this model right now is the fact that I can't immediately tell what it is, and potentially it is because I don't know what kappas are enough. I can see it's humanoids. It's just like a kind of a niche yokai, and I know it fits the topic, but sometimes that can affect voting. But I think the other thing is just that the photo's a little bit blown out here. So it's hiding a lot of the details, a lot of good defining features, but it's a little bit blurry in the photo, so you can't see them all. It looks like here it's almost like a turtle shell. Right, so that fits the reptilian kind of description, which is, again, really cool. It's just, it's so hard to see everything just because of the photos that were used to submit. I bet if I were to see this in person, it'd be way more impressive than what we were able to see here. But let's look at the one he's competing against, which is Anis. And this is, he said it's trapped. So a trapped yokai, which is a fisherman managed to trap a big fish, but what he hasn't realized yet is that it's actually a ningyo, which is a mermaid who trapped him. So here we have, for one, good contrast in the photos. If we look at all these photos, it's like a plain white background, and the features are in focus. So we can clearly see what's going on here from multiple angles, but this one in particular is really good. I think, wait, hold on. We got some gigabrain stuff going on here. Yeah, this is absolutely insane. So, okay, let's just take a look at, we have to break down these photos one by one. There's just so much detail. So here we have the fisherman, right? Which this fisherman in general is just so good. So we've got the reel. Arguably execution on the reel is a little bit sus, but whatever. The person itself, insane. So we've got this really characterized man. And the nice thing about it is it's not supposed to be like photorealistic, right? Or anatomical. It's a characterization of a person, and it is in a Japanese theme. Anis is really good at doing that kind of style. But with it, and the reason we can tell that is not just because of the face, which has crazy details, but because of the attire. This is like a very, Japanese looking type attire. And man, it's crazy. We have use of just structural folds and textural folds to get this folding of the robe. And then it transitions into like this highly textured bottom part of it. And it man, the execution is just crazy to be able to shape this. I could say a lot more, but we're going to look at the back really quick. So the back is the yokai. So the yokai is actually over the fisherman's shoulders. And this is because the fisherman doesn't know yet that, he actually caught a yokai, but we have the yokai back here. So it's like this, right? This is it on his shoulder. He's carrying it back home. This is beyond next level designing, right? We're not just designing something you see. Anise is like creating his own like reality and then bringing origami to life from that. Like it's actually nuts. Now, one thing I'll say for people wondering, like, how do I get to this level of origami folding? I'm not exactly sure of Anise's background, but I'm going to make an assumption that he has very good foundations in like anatomy. So I feel like if Anise, if he either draws or maybe sculpts or something like that, he's done something in the past that's given him this skill to render form. So he's practiced maybe academically some sort of sculpting or drawing. And because he has that foundation, he can do stuff like this, which is very stylized. He can make mythical creatures with human, aspects. And I say that because Eric Schwazel actually did, I believe it was sculpting before. It's like high level sculpting. And with that, he definitely had to learn the basics of human anatomy in sculpting, being able to render a form. And that's just practice. And from there, he was able to derive really stylistic figures, like his dwarves, like his band, any of the Schwazel models you'll see that is very stylized. It's because of that foundation. So if you want to be able to do stuff like this, you can't necessarily just start doing stylized stuff if you don't understand a foundation. So, but yeah, okay. So yeah, this yokai is also really cool. So on the front, we're going to look at it again, but there are scales because it's like a mermaid. And then we have like the frills here and then the face. So like, again, to even put this together, to construct this, like look at this face. Obviously now this isn't trying to be anatomical at all. It's supposed to be stylized, but that fits the picture. But we have every feature. We got eyes that are easy to tell are eyes. We have a characterized nose, right? And we have a mouth. And then to make it look like a yokai, it's got some horns, right? So crazy, absolutely crazy. And then just using the pleats with this texture to make almost like a mane of this mermaid. Like this is so crazy. All right, so I know I spent a lot of time on that, but I just want to reiterate, Anise, absolutely insane design, insane, submission, and he is going for that win. This is competitive origami. You're supposed to beat your opponent. Who knows how the votes are going to go, but in my opinion, I think this is one of the best submissions I've seen in any death battle. So yeah, well done, Anise. Really, really cracked. Let's go to the next battle. Okay, another crazy one. Look at all this origami, guys. This is so nuts. All right, so this next battle, the theme is Greek mythology, and we have Aris versus Hades. All right, so two Greek gods. Chris made Aris. You might have seen this in the thumbnail, but again, absolutely insane submission. Yeah, no, it's actually so well done. The fact that this was done from design to completion in like 2 or 3 weeks, crazy. So let's break it down. And another thing to notice, Chris. So Chris is very experienced in these battles. I think Chris is not only great at folding, designing, has that execution. He's good at competing. He's strategic. Only one photo submitted, and it's at the best angle, right? I'm sure it took tons of work to get this pose where you can see as many details as possible. I know Chris posted some other photos on his Instagram of other angles. Yo, Alfred, thanks for the sub, dude. Hey, what's up, dude? Oh my goodness, the Prime sub. Yo, by the way, Alfred, because you used your Prime sub, you get access to my members only Discord. I'll send you an invite later. I know you might not be too interested in checking it out, but hey, check it out anyways. Thanks, man. What's up? Can you make an origami tutorial for a 24x24 grid? If you're asking about how to fold a 24 by grid, I do have that tutorial. I actually have it up to 48. So you can go take a look at that. Look for my channel and look for how to fold a grid, and that'll be for you. Okay, but back to Chris's fold. Ari, so this is actually in the style of like a hoplite, I believe, or just some type of Greek spearman. Yeah, let's break it down. Oh, I was mentioning, yeah, Chris is strategic, right? So this one pose, best angle. All people need to see, because ultimately when people are voting, they're going to be voting on one photo. So really strategic here. First thing I'd like to point out, look at this spear. If you've seen or tried to fold anything with a spear or anything in general with like a really long flap, it's hard to get the paper to be the same thickness throughout. The way this works is that actually a lot of paper in the corner and maybe on the edge, right? So it's a corner and edge of the paper has to be consumed. And oftentimes the very tip will be the thinnest part of the paper because it's the corner, and the layers only get thicker the closer you get to the hand. But you can see that I just drew one line and it's the same thickness throughout. So that's hard to do on an execution level. And not only that, is we got fingers. So you probably need to zoom in on your own for this. Take a screenshot or look at Chris's Instagram later. But those fingers are clean. We've got all 4 fingers here, and we got the thumb wrapping around the spear. I gotta say, like, that's hard to do. Let's take a look at my fold again. I know I'm trashing on my fold a little bit, but this is just a test fold. So I have fingers and a thumb, but to wrap it around something thick, which this is just a sword, so it's not even anywhere close to as thick as that spear's probably is. You can see how much paper is going on. It's really hard to like sell that effect just because paper gets thick, like really thick along that area. But here, Chris nailed it. Look at that. That's nuts. Small detail, right? Very small detail, just like the hand and the. But for me, as an experienced folder and designer, that's what I'm looking for, right? These areas of execution. Again, kind of what I mentioned in Onisei, there's a lot of times layers get unused. Chris used the thickness of the layer to add details here in the arm to make it look like an arm brace. Again, genius tactic to make it look cleaner. Also, this anatomy, like the shoulder's correct. The shoulder's correct. Very good understanding of anatomy. This is something I've watched Chris for a long time. He's one of the first people I did an origami review of, I believe. If it's not origami review number 1, it's probably an origami review number 2. But Chris has been working a ton. This anatomy, it's spot on. It's perfect, right? From the size of the head to the way the arms are connected to the waist, right, and the way the knees come out. Like, look at that. It's really good. Really good. If anything, maybe the feet are just a little too small, but who's gonna care about that, right? Everything else though, like one thing I really appreciate, if we look at like the macro level, you can see me drawing these boxes. This is just how I generally construct humans, is you can try to see where the intentionality of things are. And a lot of times of origami, you get things that are really boxy. And this is because everything is tied in one direction. In this case, we have uses, like if you were to actually look one way, more than just your body turns. So like we have hips this way, just in a power stance, knees facing this way, torso facing that way, and his eyes are also looking onwards. And so this is a small detail that a lot of people miss, is the intentionality of shaping. They might try to shape something but forget on where the head's actually looking. It's like sometimes people will make designs where like the character's looking down but the body is like looking the other way or something like that, and it just doesn't look very good because you have no idea what's going on. The model's not grounded. But in this case, we have intention for each part of where the spear is. Like everything makes sense. And then again, to support it, right, tons of crazy detail of the pleats. We have a shield with detail in it. Again, who does that, right? Like my shield, it's hard enough to do a shield. Okay, I'm not trashing out my own model. But like you get what I mean. Like it's already hard enough to fit one of these in, and to just go above and beyond and fit like all this detail into the shield. Next level, absolutely next level. This shows Chris's mastery of box pleating right here. Ram's head, shield, and knees. Yes, that okay. Again, on the knees too. Like, bruh, bro, this is so extra, and I love it. It's so good. The choices of where to detail is just really good. Like, we just have just enough shape to define a cloak, and then it doesn't take away from the face details, right? It gives some space. Then we have like general pleats. This is a lot of detail here, and then into a different pattern for the waistcoat. Different pattern. So really good contrast of select detail so that it's not overkill. You know, you can still see everything. And even with the shield, we have like a good border along everything that keeps it clean before we get into the craziness there. So we can see every detail. I really like that. We have space between the leg, and then again, crazy knees, and then pretty simple foot, but it's just to allow you to notice every detail really good. And yeah, check out Chris's Instagram. I believe the back is like fully closed. That's like an advanced origami designer thing. He sneaks that in just to impress people who know like how crazy it is to also close the model. So yeah, really well done. This is one of my favorite designs from Chris of recent. His last submission was also insane, but this one is, I like it. This is so good. Okay, so I know I kind of went overboard on Chris, but I think it's well deserved. I could talk longer about everything I noticed on this design. It's really well done. Now Chris is against the folder. And so last time the folder made a General Grievous, and I thought it was really cool, but I pointed out some things that were not quite as good. And the reason I say that is because I think the folder leveled up so much for this design. So the folder designed Hades, and yeah, comparing this to the General Grievous from last time. So if you didn't see last time, it was this one. And I think the main thing I said was torso too long, right? If you wanted to keep the proportions of this design, you need to go shorter, just because now the arms are too tiny. Lightsabers are small, right? Arms, perfect length for the sword, right? Torso, way shorter, right? That allows our legs here. I drew the legs wrong, but legs, right? Even the face, right? I'll get to the face in a little bit, but we have this really cool beard. Like, things are way more in proportion for this fold. I respect that a ton. And I think the composition of this model is really cool. So if you're unfamiliar with Hades, right? He's like the Greek god of the underworld. He's got dogs, a pair of three-headed dogs guarding the gates, I think. And here we see the dog. Like, this is the dog with the three heads, a Cerberus. Like, crazy. And the leash, like, dude, isn't that so cool? So yeah, massive level up from the folder. Like, this is a really, really good submission. We've got face details here. Yeah, eyes, nose. And I really like this beard. This beard's really cool. I think it's a good way to do faces, actually, because it partially hides it. But because of doing this texture and how different the texture is from, say, the armor here, it's a nice contrast kind of showing details for the face. Let's see some other photos really quick before we get to it. So here are the dog, the three-headed dog, Cerberus. Like, this is really cute, right? We can clearly see the snout. I think this is just a nice touch to really like sell the fact that this is Hades, not some random character. And then here we have the face. If there's any like critique I have, it's probably on the face. Faces are so hard. It's normally better to actually omit the face than to try to do a face if you can't get it good. And the reason is because of the uncanny valley, right? So here we have unrealistic. Here we have realistic, right? And so the valley kind of goes like this. If you make it unrealistic enough, which would be like a cartoon or a characterization, right? We identify those as people. So things like anime or comic books, right? It's stylized. Video game characters that are like Lego, right? It's definitely on this end. So like we recognize that it's a human. But the more you approach reality and your execution isn't as high, the ability to identify a person starts to dip, or you notice the mistakes more, or you realize, hey, this isn't quite a person, something is wrong. And it's like that until you hit full realism. And with full realism, you need good enough, features that you can actually hit this point where everyone's like, wow, I didn't even know that was paper, right? And if you can get to that effect, then you're into clear. In this case, right, there is the attempt. So I would say like the folder, he's trying to be more in this half than he is in this half, right? So the folder isn't trying to do a characterization. They're trying to be realistic. And a lot of time, if it's so hard to do, I respect them for trying. But again, it's just like the anatomy is very hard. The distance to like eyes, nose, mouth with like the actual head structure is just like slightly off. And because of the eye structure, so there's like, it's like a box here where like the ridge kind of sticks up here versus like a box here, a ridge sticks up here. It's like not exactly how an eye should be. So like, I'm going to draw it out here. So like the overall brow shape of the eye is kind of like this. And like, I see the attempt, but like, generally, right, you can, if you break down like the skull, it's like a little bit more like this. And so like, I can see it's going there. It's close, but it's not quite there. Now Chris's isn't quite as perfect either, but it's closer, and it's closer mainly because the proportions and the use of like the other features like the jawline and aid from the helmet. Like the helmet is a really smart thing because then you don't have to worry as much about all the face. So you get saved a little bit from that approach. In this case, because it's so noticeable here, it's just like a little bit off. And then now there's also like no space for like this side, and there's no ears. So like this is going like really deep into these details, but like, again, this is a competition. You have to take these things into effect. A lot of people will just see this. They won't really break it down like I did, but they'll get the feel that, okay, something isn't quite shaped enough. And that's just because of this valley that I described of what people notice. And a lot of the reason is because we see people every single day, or at least most people do. You're looking at me right now. We look at humans so much that subconsciously we just can tell when something's off. But hopefully that makes sense in my breakdown. I think these two submissions are really, really good. And also, so big shout out to Chris. Absolutely insane design. That's like peak origami, really pushing the level of anything that's been done. And then the folder, massive level up from last submission. Really, really good work. All right, next up we have Everyday. So Everyday is another kind of, out there topic. Like it doesn't have a direct, like anything physically direct that you can make. So in this case, it looks like we got like a stop sign and then a guy reading on the toilet, right? So like crazy kind of interpretation, very open to interpretation on the toilet. This is great. This satisfies the topic so well. It's so relatable, right? So relatable. Now, this person is like reading a book. I think, maybe for other people, for the younger crowd, this is like looking at your phone. But once again, really relatable. There's some comedy in this, right? Like the pants are pulled down, right? Hilarious. I love this. This is so good. Like to interpret this topic as that, hitting the relatableness, dude, on point. Very, very smart submission. Really funny design. I think it's really cool. Once again, this is a case not trying to go for realism, and it sells the effect that it's a person. You know what I'm saying? So really well done here. I can tell what everything is. Really funny. I can even tell the toilet in the back. In this case, I do wish we had another angle to see the toilet a little bit more. I think it would have helped it just slightly. And another thing, maybe a slightly better photo. Like we've got this going, so like it's almost split, but it's turned, so we get like that weird shadow in the back. Slightly distracting, just not as nice presentation. A little bit harder to see the model in general. Again, because this is blocking like the face, you get that shadow here. So this is like starting to, you have to work a little bit to look at it and find everything, but you can find everything. So that's okay. Yeah, fun model. Love the idea. Really good. What if it was more detailed censored? Hey, then we'd be in trouble on YouTube, right? Thank goodness it's not more detailed. Hello. John, welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining. Oh, Beluga, hello. Thanks for joining the stream on Instagram. Great to see everyone. We're looking at some cool origami here. But yeah, I think to wrap up, On the Toilet, just really fun. And I love fun, so great job, Hot Wheels 420. Let's look at the other one, which was by Faraz, and it is a stop sign. So like this battle, I think has the most diversity in the models we see. Because in this, it's like for one, it was like a humanoid interpreting the concept. This one, it's like an object, right? A stop sign. And this is two different paradigms of origami as well. So one's like a box pleat figure, I assume. And then this one is a flat fold color change model. And this is definitely in far as this, kind of signature genre, which is really cool to see that this can compete against something like a box pleat humanoid with, all those fun details. So it's much more straightforward, but equally as impressive. So I think this battle is going to be really close, actually. The stop sign's really cool. The other one's really funny. It's like I can't predict who's going to win this battle. Both are really good. Okay, so stop sign. I mean, it's pretty easy to see. There's not really much I have to talk about this model. It's just really nice. I think if people were to be a bit picky, you do see like some seams. Like it's not very clean in terms of how the color change is done. It's like very uneven, and you can kind of see like all the folds that make it up. But that's one of the hard things about doing this sort of genre, is to be able to do something as crazy as spell words in the middle of something. You kind of have to do some sacrifices. So yeah, I honestly don't understand this kind of paradigm of origami design as much. I don't have experience in it, but it looks crazy hard and it's really cool. So shout out to Faraz. Really nice natural color change. This is a 50 centimeter square, so used a big paper for this. Very complex. And justification, I see these signs every day. Totally fits the theme. I see them every day too. But yeah, very relatable. Let's go on to the next battle. So last 1v1. This is with the theme of folklore. And this is a good topic. We've got two different things from folklore. We've got Reynard the Fox and a Wendigo. Okay, this is Reynard the Fox, designed by Silver Paper. Okay, Reynard the Fox, folklore. Okay, here we go. Inspired by Disney's Robin Hood, color changes are natural. Nice. And from this photo, we can see something. So we have the fox. You can see the head, right? The ear. And then the hat. I think the hat is really nicely done. There's some double color change going on here. In the hand, he's holding, I believe this is a bow. This is pretty cool. Then offhand is reaching for an arrow. So Robin Hood, right? So bow and arrow, shooting an apple off someone's head. And then below we have the fox legs, fox tail. I think this is really nice. I think there are some execution errors, mostly in the face this time. So in this case, we have the snout, but it looks a little bit forced and the angles are just slightly off. Like this ear here, it's a little bit too blended in. I think if the ear was like, right, it needs to be more up here to really like stand out a bit more. It's a little bit hard to tell. And then, yeah, this color change is crazy to be able to do like the double color changes on everything. But the result is that it's like a little bit messy. So maybe the paper was just, it needs to be a little bit bigger to really sell it. But because of that, like I can see that this arm, it's not really where it's supposed to be. But overall, really cool design. Crazy color changes. Nice job. Okay, so next up we have the Wendigo, designed by Tijin. again, folklore. And so this is a mythological creature, a Wendigo is a mythological creature originating from the Algonquian. I apologize for mispronouncing that. Algonquian folklore is often represented as a zombified elk or moose. And then, sorry for the holding and state. I'm completely out of MC. First picture for voting. So we do have a disclaimer here at some lack of material and time, maybe, and presentation. Let's see how that affects the result. So I do think the hand, it is a little distracting, not gonna lie. The paper in the background, also a little distracting. They put that as a disclaimer. They note themselves. I think this will affect the voting a little bit, because without the hand, I think we'd be able to see these elk antlers a lot better, and they actually look pretty good if they were presented nicely. So if this was a much better photo, it would really sell it. And the fact that like this moose or this elk is like a zombified, it's supposed to look messy, but because we can't see like most of it, it's hard to tell. And now we just kind of see just the flaps as they are, and it doesn't look shaped. Now the non-shaping is mostly because no MC, but yeah, I guess just unfortunate circumstances. I think this design has a lot of potential. I definitely think like these antlers are cool, are really cool. Like smart idea, skeleton, box plate, like really good potential. This potential design just missing the shaping and presentation. Yeah, but they know themselves. Still, great job on the design. I even like, though the battle's over, I hope you keep working on this and can like finish shaping and get a nice photo, because I think it'll turn out pretty cool. Like, keep working these bones a bit more to really make it look zombified, and just work on that elk mouth with those antlers, and it'll look really nice. For the final battle that we're going to review today, absolutely insane 1v1v1. Crazy Folds ... versus Maple Syrup versus Bork, with the theme of uninteresting, potentially the most interesting topic of this round. Uninteresting. Everything here is a like juxtaposition, or what's the I forget the word for like a dichotomy, right? Everything here is a dichotomy. Insane. The most interesting topic is uninteresting, and the designers have to make the most interesting uninteresting design so that they can win. Let's take a look at Bork's first. A sad clown. A sad clown. So this is a very interesting take on uninteresting, because people want to see happy clowns. People, hire clowns, go to fairs to be entertained. Now, it's really interesting. I think there's been a stigma about clowns for a while, that they're actually scary. But I think recently clowns are coming back. I've seen stuff on YouTube and like TikTok and stuff with like clowns being comedic, and they're starting to like it's more funny again. There's some talented like people, whether it's juggling or comedy, miming, stuff like that, and it's starting to not be quite as scary anymore. I think maybe that was from like movies that came out. That's why clowns were scary. And there's like the clown event that was really scary. But a sad clown, no one wants to see a sad clown, right? So I think this fits the theme. I think it's an interesting take to convey sad. Right here we have like a frown. I think it's kind of tough. I can definitely tell it's a clown, right? We actually don't get to see too much of the body because the angle is like this way. Maybe we can see some of the other photos, like this one. Here we see more of the clown, right? So we can tell it's a clown. It is a little bit hard to tell if it's sad or not. I think the pose is actually kind of happy, like the clown's waving at us. But But the only thing is maybe from this photo, I can see it's kind of sad with the face, but even still, a little bit hard. But hey, respectable choice, very creative. Again, this is a hard topic. You have to make an interesting thing that's uninteresting. I think this face structure, it's got potential. It's got a lot of potential. It's a cool color change here. There's a lot you could do with these eyes. They're kind of they're in the proper place too. It's just, it's hard to sell sad. Like, what do you do with sad? I think maybe a better approach would have been to use the body language of the clown. So instead of doing like a happy waving pose like this, you would do like a somber, shrugged, kind of like weeping thing to be sad. So like drooped shoulders, arms down type of thing. And that would have like helped sell the sad clown thing a little bit better. But nice fold, nice design. Next up, we're going to look at ... Okay, so let's look at ... This is a hot take. I used to read a lot. I think reading is interesting. I used to read books all the time at night. Now I watch YouTube, right? How I have been corrupted by technology. And if I read, it's on an ebook on my phone. Honestly, good take. ... Reading can be uninteresting, and if people disagree, that's mental stimulation. That's strategic, right? You're getting them invested emotionally into your design. Really cool. ... has folded some really impressive things. Last submission, it was the Ant-Man on an ant. This time, sitting down, reading a book. I gotta say, this person actually looks interested in reading. But again, like, what a crazy topic, right? You have to make the most interesting design of something uninteresting. I absolutely love it. This is really good. I talked about intentionality before and how it's so effective in shaping if your model has that intention, right? So the whole body language of this design, we've got the cross leg, we have the torso, turned in to the book. We have the face looking at the book. Really well done. These are subtle details. It's not easy to configure this all into the exact place, but yeah, really, really nicely done. We got, small details. This photo honestly is like a little bit underexposed. So this is like a photography critique. The whole thing is underexposed. Everything's kind of blending in. You could do some quick editing to make this look a little bit more approached. Is like right here, the shadows are just blurred. But you look closely, you can really see the details. You can see like the t-shirt here. You can see the pants. Like, there's a lot of small things. We even have like the heel of the shoe. Just really nicely done. ... This is super cool. I love it. There's, I think, even like subtle face indentations for the nose. It's awesome. This photo. Look how small it is. Look how small that is, right? Yeah, man. Look at the attention to detail, man. Like, okay, do you see this? Look at this head shape. Yeah, ... Crazy, like crazy mental to know this. Like, if you're to draw a head from the back, you do a Loomis head. So I've talked a little bit about Loomis heads in the past, and like this is a good way to learn like heads, right? So you can like quickly draw the shape of a head from this angle. I know this is probably really hard to tell because this is like really badly done, but essentially here, there is like the notch for the back of your skull before your neck comes down, and then it attaches like before your chin. So that's like an easy way to just start setting your neckline. And man, ... did that like in the, like, oh my goodness, that's great. From the back, normally we fold and shape stuff for the front. This is from the back, and this is tiny. That's tiny. Like, look at that. That's so hard to do. But the dexterity and shaping, really next level. I will say the size of it is a little tough because we can see, because it's so close, we see just like the little wrinkles from the shaping. So it's not as clean as it could be, if you know what I mean. And because of the next design, this might come into play because both of these are going to share this slight thing where potentially the execution will take into effect how clean these small details are into the entire thing. But I'm nitpicking. This is really well done. There's some high level execution. Really cool model. Absolutely insane. ... Let's look at the other photos. Look at this. Fingers. You see how small those fingers are? That's crazy. Like in the book curve with the spine and like next level attention to detail here. And great proportions. Like man, this is really good. How to get the head so round? I have no idea, man. At this tiny, crazy. Like very strategic mushing. Next up, we have maybe the most brain-breaking design I've seen this year. Scale shaping by Maple Syrup. And you've heard me talk about Maple Syrup a few times, starting from Peacock 2023, then Ebok 2024, then last round, and this round. Maple Syrup. This fold got in the Hall of Fame for a very valid reason. It absolutely blew people's minds mentally. So man, Maple Syrup is so cracked. They made a person folding the Ryujin on the desk with a lamp. Like, you could have gone away with just the person folding a Ryujin scales. You could have stopped at folding on the table, added a lamp, because why not, right? Absolutely. And a laptop, because you're looking at Daniel Brown's guide or Origami Sage's scale shaping guide at the same time. Like, oh my goodness, dude. Is this not the most like mentally breaking design you've ever seen? It's so crazy. If Maple Syrup used anything larger than 30 centimeters for that, he does. Yeah, that's the other thing. I bet this is tiny too. Maple Syrup, you've seen their other folds, really tiny. Like they made my samurai from like 15 centimeter or 20 centimeter, and it's like that small, and it's really well folded. Yeah, this is. I saw this and like, bruh, that's like my mentally blown. Like, dude, that's, oh my goodness. This is like an idea you like randomly throw out talking about fun for fun, and like no one's ever gonna do it. It's like, haha, make a person folding something on a table, shaping the hardest, most complex model, and this is it in reality. Like, absolutely insane. And the coolest part is it's actually like the Ryujin. If you look at the crease pattern, and if you zoom in here, you can see the actual scale pattern of the Ryujin. It's like, dude, Maple Syrup went so hard. I can't express like, dude, how much this just like blows my mind. New fan favorite, it's like, okay, sure, it's not the cleanest design. You can tell it's a little messy, right? You can see like there's an indent in this table. It's not like perfectly straight. It's kind of a weird leg ERM stuff. Like you can see the seams. Sure, you can say all that, whatever, right? But the fact that this is just existing and it's like decently executed, where you can actually see the scales and see the person and all that stuff, it's like, bruh, it's so nice. It's so crazy. Yeah, definitely worthy of being fan favorite. Just for that aspect, like it's executed enough. You know what I'm saying? But okay, here's the thing though. I mentioned about ... another tiny fold that I think if that one were to try to top the craziness of this, it would be in the area of execution. So I think if ... design was like really flush, really clean, no wrinkles, no tiny creases, with the same kind of form, which again is kind of asking the impossible, it would have a better chance against something like this, which is kind of the opposite approach. You know, absolutely insane a level of detail, totally sacrificing like proportions and shaping and execution. It's like you're really pitting the two sides and see like, okay, what are people going to vote for? Are they going to vote for technicality or going to vote for creativity? And that's always a hot debate, right? So that would make a really good battle. Regardless, I think both are really insane. I think this one is just like mind breaking. Like it's got that wow factor that everyone's just like drawn to. And like the presentation, again, the presentation and execution are decent enough that you can tell what's going on. Yeah, I've very much appreciated maple syrup for the past, like, you know, year of seeing insane things. Definitely really like this as well. Shangnara put it a great way. Any imperfection can be easily ignored because it's insane, and that's valid with this case here. It's so insane. Shout out everyone in this competition, especially this 1v1v1. This is like one of the craziest sets of battles that have been done. You know, from Chris, from Anise, from Maple Syrup, massive level ups from the folder, you know, really creative, really funny folds. Everyone competing high level. They're going for that cash prize. They want to win. Y'all can help decide who you like. Go check out Origami-dan and vote. But that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you everybody for watching. Give all these folders a follow on their Instagram if they have one. Really support them. Tell them what a great job they did. And I'll see you in the next video.
All this origami, all this origami, all this origami got me going kamikaze now.